everybody, Carrie Cox here. I want to talk today about dieting, eating, our habits, and basically the consistency to be able to stick to what we're trying to do to achieve our goals. I deal with people in the from like weight loss dieting all the way to health issues, extreme health issues. I've had patients who have had cancer. I've had patients who have nervous system issues. I've had patients who have things like MS and such like that. Most of these things you'd go to the doctor and it'd be something you're on a medication for the rest of your life just to basically get rid of the symptoms. I ultimately am trying to help people get to the root of what's going on. Yes, that can be an uncomfortable journey, but I'm here to guide you through it. Most of us just don't want to be alone on the journey. Most of us don't want to feel uncomfortable on the journey. And there are ways you can make it more comfortable, less comfortable. This is why the supplements I use, the standard process that have the organ and glandular in there. And I know a lot of people can feel turned off about that, but back in the day, when you had people eating things, they were eating the organ and glandulars, and that's where you're getting your amino acids from. You were also getting minerals, you were getting vitamins out of that. And most of us are transition to modern way of eating, and we do not want to eat that way anymore. And you can't get people to do liver or glandulars. For the most part, even some people you can't get to do protein. So it's about trying to get a diet conducive to what your goals are. If you are someone who has an abundance of weight that you put on and you're trying to clear yourself through an all plant diet, at first you're going to lose, because you're going to pull back to a lot of whole food factors, you're going to pull in and out of sugars, things like that. That's great. But at some point in time, you have to feed the amino acids needed to help support organ function and make sure your digestion is on. And the biggest problem we're going to have with that is that are you eating all organic? If you're not eating all organic, there's a lot of toxicity that you're taking in, which will also be a reason you will hold on to weight. Many of us are way too toxic, and that is part of the problem with dysregulation through our systems. It throws off the digestion, it throws off body weight, it throws off the hormone function. We also have a lot of things that we're taking in to keep us on the go and do the go, go, go factors, and that is a negative as well. Should you do a diet that is majorly restrictive? Depends on the length of that and your commitment to that. You shouldn't ever stay in that kind of state for a huge amount of time. Bodybuilders, I would say, are the ones I see most restrictive, and they will go through, they call it the prep mode. So that time they're doing for, 3-4 months. But there's a lot of effort that has to be put on reversing that restrictive dieting. And I find that people who come into my office have lived their lives in that restrictive dieting, and what they're doing they feel as healthy, but they're not feeding their body to balance out. And as you get older, things just start to break down due to overwhelmed toxicity, organ not functioning, digestive system not flowing the way it properly needs to. So really the first and foremost thing I do when it comes to diet factors is I'm making sure that your organ function is doing well. You can't go push yourself to do an exercise and do all these things. Movement is great and important, but you can't do all that movement and all those things if your endocrine system's off balance and you go and you push yourself harder to work harder. You're going to hit a wall. And you're lucky if you don't hit adrenal fatigue and spend years trying to reverse it. Then you're going to have digestive distress. If you're not digesting and you're constantly going, you could eventually work yourself into a negative place. I myself, which I didn't feel like I was starving, I was probably eating more, but I had a lifetime of eating disorder. So that was a negative factor. So I had heart factors going on, and I needed to support that. Not to mention digestion. I'm sure my hormones were out of whack. I'd had 4 kids. Technically, I had a miscarriage with one, so I had 5 pregnancies itself, which can take a huge toll on the hormones and the glands that are creating the hormones. And I wasn't doing any kind of eating that was helping to repair that until I got to the bodybuilding stage where I was introducing more of those things. People often don't have success with the restrictive because you're restrictive, you lose all the weight, you feel good, and then you just open back up. So ultimately, if you're looking for long-term change, you want something that you can sustain. I had a discussion the other day on my stories in Instagram and Facebook about this. It should be something that you can at least maintain for 4 weeks, if not longer. You want to push yourself and go hard for that time just to get ahead of things. Okay, fine. As long as the things are, your digestion's flowing properly and the hormones are functioning properly when you do that time, and then we can support that. But you have to start making efforts after that restricting to add things in and get good quality foods and reduce your toxicity factors and make sure digestion's happening. You're getting good hydration and things like that. But restriction diets never last, and you can become addicted to yo-yo dieting. Many people do. We have a lot of people who are addicted to that sympathetic stage, that go, go, go. I never want to take a break. And so if you can find ways, and I know this isn't the fastest way, but it's the longest lasting way. With most of my patients who come in, if you're looking for a quick fix, for you just want some relief for a moment, your probably best bet is to go to the doctors and be put on medication. If you're looking for long-term, good quality health function, something that you can maintain and get to your goals, you want to come and see me. And that is where I look at things. Can we get some boosts and do some things? Sure, I can push things. But ultimately, my goal is to get you overall healthy, hormones functioning properly, digestion functioning properly, and then finding a place where we're good at for overall health. Being stick thin is not the end all be all of health. It may make you feel good, but if you're looking for the mental side of things and feeling good about yourself, being this big isn't going to solve all that either. So you want to be able to not only have good physical health and feel like you look good, but to also be mentally in a good place. And that comes a lot with actual health. People who are going into the bodybuilding world and things like that, they are not going for health. And I've said this a million times. They are going for a physique, a look, a more of a body composition look, and it's not about the health factor. Many of those people come out the other side with a lot of issues. I see people who are even on Instagram and things like that that look amazing, but they're dealing with autoimmune issues. They can't sleep well. They hormone function is bad. They've got all these issues that you don't actually see unless they're actually forthright with it. I am not fighting any kind of autoimmune disease issue or anything. I'm not on any medications. I'm not seeking help for any major health concern. I am active. I can be active, have the energy to do it. I, for the most part, don't tend to get sick because of my overall regimen. So I'm not perfect, and I'm not depriving myself. You could ask my kids, and I think a lot of my patients who come around or with me on a personal level ever are often surprised when they're like, "Oh, you're eating that?" Okay, I don't eat crap 24/7. Your real goal should be that you have a routine that is healthy to you, which everybody's health aspects are different of what they need based on where you're at currently. But so you're looking for healthy for you that works well with your lifestyle, and 80% of the time you can maintain that and you can enjoy life. You don't want to be miserable of like, I can't go out to eat with my friends. I can't enjoy splurging every now and again. But you don't also want to live in a lifestyle where I'm constantly splurging and I'm like hung over from the foods I eat. I am drinking. I am doing all these things because mentally I am just not happy. And most of the time you're not happy and mentally doing well because of your gut in itself. So heavily restricted diets are not necessarily the greatest way to get there. Can you restrict down? Yes. but you should be looking for ways of moving towards your goals with things that you enjoy in life. And what are those things? And making sure that they're not connected to an emotional tie of something that you're avoiding dealing with. So therefore you allow yourself to have these splurges to enjoy life. That's where it becomes a problem. And I would say most people in the health journey that are on the weight loss side of things need to deal with some emotional aspects and have some emotional, mental problems that they need to just lean into and deal with. Not all of us are willing to do that, but it would benefit you greatly because when it's about health, your mental, your emotional, getting out and moving, being physical, what we're eating, our thought process. I mean, all of that comes into play. It's about overall. And everybody's version of that is differently. If you were to even ask me, oh, when I first was doing my bodybuilding, my mentality about what health was different. I even look back at my mastectomy that I went and did, and my doctor at the time was having me supplement to support myself, which I thought was amazing. But I see pictures of the supplements that I was taking, and me, I'm like, oh, that wasn't a good quality. Oh, that. So we all have a place where we start, but then we learn better so that we can learn more so we can do better. And so I do the Standard Process brand because they are as good as it gets to whole food. They are growing their stuff on an organic farm, grinding it up, and putting it into pills. But they are also using organic glandulars from USDA animals that they're putting in there. And why that works is because most of us need amino acids to rebuild things that are breaking down. And ultimately, what better way to get the specific amino acids you need for an organ that's not functioning than eating that actual organ itself? I know there's a lot of you that may not agree with this or like that. You're about the animals and things like that. I love animals. I'm not against that. But I also believe that by buying from people who are overall conscious about the earth and the animals and things like that, that they can have a good quality life. And I want that in my life, that I am getting good quality nutrients. I am not getting some animal that's been put in a cage or that's not been able to live its life and then I digest that. So I am particular about sourcing food and where I'm getting from. I want it from somebody who has taken pride in raising in an environment that's been good to them and all these things. So that is important and I don't see against that. I have worked with people who are vegan and vegetarian, and oftentimes I'm going to have to say they have endocrine issues, they have hormone issues, they have vitality. The body itself is breaking down, and it's about trying to get in foods to help their body to rebuild. Yes, there's a lot of good things from plants, and as long as you have good digestion and it's not toxic, which is a big problem we're dealing with anymore these days, that can negatively impact you. So you need to be able to be aware of those things just as much as an animal and where it's coming from, your plants and where are they coming from and how have they been raised, because that's a big issue. And I am one who prides myself in going out and researching all the way around, not just what I believe and sticking to it. I have changed my view because of that. And I have done research to kind of fit in with people's wants. So if you're wanting to do all plant, while I don't believe that's the best way, there's things that you're going to be needing that are from animals, but I will do my best to put it out there and I will make you aware of like, hey, this is a problem and the best way to deal with it is getting in these foods, but you don't want to do these foods. So now we have to figure out, but that may mean that we're not able to get to your full goal because you're inhibiting that by not taking the best source of what you need. Anyway, everybody has their wants to do it, but you really, if you have a goal, you want to attain it, you should expect to go and put 100% in. When I say 100% in, that doesn't mean restricting everything. To me, it's about baby steps too. We're moving in the right direction. We're getting the first steps nailed down and taken care of, and we're doing this in increments, and that's the best way to do it. If you're doing things, people want instant results, instant everything, because that's the world we lived in. But you have instant kickback. You get a whiplash back. The body will respond back. So if you want to get your results and get to where you want to, but also age gracefully and not have disease and not be totally broken down and ruined by the time you're older, or you're into your older ages where you want to be able to still enjoy life, and you don't want to be crippled with arthritis, and you don't want to be unable to move because your adrenal glands are shot, and you don't want to be stuck not able to live and just sitting in a chair all day long. You need to do this as a progressive, and you need to do it in a feeding factor. I love hearing back from most of my patients. I don't know that I've heard back anything otherwise, but that how much better they feel and how they're surprised at how this is actually helping them, and they're amazed the response they can get, because most people look at supplementing, or they have done it on their own, which I personally have tried to do it on my own without the knowledge prior to, and not gotten anywhere. When it came to my heart issue, I was already taking B vitamins. I was doing the things that we're supposed to fix this problem and not getting anywhere. But then I went into the whole food and got standard process and started doing liver for my B vitamins, and my heart had a good switch. I went from being knocked to my knees and not sure if I need to go to the emergency room to I don't have those episodes anymore. And does that mean I'm perfect? No, but I'm nutritionally supporting the organs that I need to. I've gone from fearful of having breast cancer because I carry the mutation, because I had my left side filled with all these things and they were unsure if they were clustering to create cancer, to not stressing about that and doing certain factors that I know that I'm supporting the body to flush out things and to support my hormone function, and to do all this studying and supporting of myself to make sure I have a balance in my body. So coming back to what I was originally coming into is to talk about diet. Sorry, I've got something flying around. Diet is key to how we overall feel. It can be a step-by-step basis. You're not going to have things instantly. When you have that instant response, the likelihood, I would bet on the majority of you that you won't stick with it. They're rare that will stick with it because they get to the point where they're feeling good enough that they're just going to stay into that long term. But I will also say those people who get results and stick to start feeling like, I'm just not feeling as great. I'm having a little bit lower energy, but hey, my weight's staying off. And it's like, hey, well, you want to feel good. And we often accept that it's just old age. I have to feel like crap because I'm getting old. I get told that on such a regular basis. It's kind of frustrating sometimes, but yes, aging isn't all exciting and things switch up, but it doesn't have to be totally always in pain, falling apart, miserable. If you feed your body and you do it enough prior to, I tell this all the time to my younger nieces and things like that, that if you were to at a younger age do just a smidgen of actual nutritional support for your body, by the time you're my age, you're not going to have to combat all these other factors. So that's why most people will say, "Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm not sick. I don't have any of these problems." And I'm like, "You're going to want to do something. Move some positive direction for your health. Get out there and get movement. Build your muscle while you can so you can create that as like your body's norm. So when you start aging and it naturally declines, you are more likely to hold on to it because you've established that being a thing." So there's a lot of things as preventative that you can do when you're younger, but that doesn't mean people who are older and having issues can't resolve those issues either. Even though in most cases doctors will tell you that you can't. So restrictive dieting, again, I come back to that. You do not have to starve yourself. It does not have to be painful, but I do believe that many people figure to get to the goals they want, they have to sacrifice everything. That's not true. But there may be some sacrifices, but you don't have to sacrifice everything that you're doing. You can't stay in the same path, but you can create a better path that gives you energy and you still enjoy foods that you like and the things that you're doing and get to the goals that you want to. So the point is within health itself is building a lifestyle that you love, movement that you love, the foods that you love in quality form and within a right proportion. Yeah, we can all overdo now and again, and that's human. That doesn't have to be the end all though. It's about what you're doing the majority of the time, not okay, it was summer and we have a month full of birthdays and I had a lot of birthday cake. Okay, that's fine. Just get back on, and while you're not at the birthday parties having the birthday cake, eat the things that are going to help you thrive. Put those things in first. That's a lot of what I do with the people I work with is we are supporting first and foremost what the body needs and getting those things in. And then if we want excess and we want to splurge a little, okay, that's a factor there too. But everybody's situation is going to be tailored specifically to them and what their needs are. Some people need to detoxify and remove toxicity. Some people have been doing that for so long that their body needs to be rebuilt and get the amino acids and such that they need so that they can function properly. And yet actually to find anyone who doesn't need that to some degree. So anyway, life and health and good quality of living does not have to be all about sacrifice, restrictiveness, and the negative things. And if you're with someone who's moving you that direction and you're not getting to where you want to and you feel like you're restricting, then maybe it's time to do a new direction. So I have many programs where I can guide people through my memberships. The $25 membership I have is just a basic. You're allowed to text message me. I can guide you through with whatever questions, whether that be supplementing or going towards foods and things like that. I do try to find natural ways that you can use your food to boost and support things. Do realize with food, it does take time, but in the end, you're not pushing something to happen, then quit, and then end up back at the same place. You're feeding and you're building upon that. It's like you're building your home itself and you're doing it. We're doing it over here now. Okay, now we're going to shift and move to here. It takes that layers of doing that. But if you go back and you're like, oh, I don't like that, we're going to get rid of that. You have to restart again. When you're doing something that's forcing an action, you constantly are just forcing an action, and eventually you'll wear that out, and then there'll be more you have to do alongside of that. And people don't seem to get that, but if you're adrenal fatigued and you constantly then take something to boost your adrenals and are not feeding them and nourishing them in some kind of way, eventually they'll just all outright give out. You can't just push organs to keep functioning without supporting some kind of nourishment. And that is where I believe I am very different from a lot of people out there. Most people think they're nourishing, but they're really just pushing by vitamins and minerals and things like that. They're pushing it or herbs to irritate something to function and flow, when in reality, we need certain fats or proteins or mineral factors to help support a rebuild and nourishment to the gland or organ. So I feel like there was more that I wanted to go into. I kind of stuck more with the restrictive. You're never going to get results that are immediate without some kind of lashback. You want actually long-lasting results and actual rebuilding and supporting your body to heal itself. You have to feed it properly. You can't just constantly be pushing it. And I don't think a lot of people realize the difference between pushing an action to happen and actually nourishing. Most of my patients, I think, get that after working with me for a little bit. They're like, oh, okay. But most come in with a fear of like, okay, I'm doing this and I don't have 100% of everything I want right now. So how am I going to get that? I'm like, well, it takes so much time to feed and get it to rebuild itself. Not every organ's like, oh, I got the nourishment, I'm good. I'm rebuilt. Hey, we're good. It takes time to rebuild that and the systems to be flowing properly and emotion aspects. Even if you're in fight or flight mode all the time, you're wearing your body down. It can't actually, the rest and digest is where you do all the rebuilding. Bodybuilders, you go to the gym, you rip up your muscles. When you sleep at night, actually when you're gaining the muscle mass, when you're nourishing yourself, when you're drinking the water, you're eating the food, you're sleeping, that's where you're growing muscle. The gym time was just setting the base work. Then it has to rest and digest to do the actual rebuilding. So being on the go all the time is not beneficial for people and their health. They have to have that ebb and flow between the sympathetic, parasympathetic. So with that all said, if you guys are interested in any more information from me, I have many blogs on my website talking about different things, trying to give information because I know some people are very curious about the information. If you're not needing to know the information, but you want a protocol, you can also do a survey and I can help you through there to build up something of eating that would help deal with it and explain if you want it explained. If you come in from this with do a scan, I don't think there's ever anywhere else that you'll get as much information and feedback and understanding of what's going on as you will in my office. Oftentimes I have people go even to their doctors and then they will call me and say, okay, here's what they're saying. And then I explain, okay, well, this is why this is happening and this is connected to that. And we'll look at these things. So I love learning and figuring out the connections in the body itself. Oftentimes we think it's this thing that's having a problem when it's actually this guy over here that's below that helps speak to this organ over here to tell it to do what it to do, or this chemical in the body that's throwing everything, the signaling off itself that needs to be cleared. So most of the time, and when you're going to the doctor, they're zoning in on like, okay, you got a hormone issue? Okay, let's look at your hormones. Okay, but why are the hormones off? Is it something I'm eating? Something in my environment? So I look at all that when you come into my office and ask questions. The hardest part sometimes is that people are unwilling to give information until after the fact, and then it's like, oh, well, there you go, there's the problem. So I am here to help you. I love helping people. I help a lot of people even that are not patients, that my patients will start saying, oh, let me ask my nutritionist about this information and let me see what she has to say, and then we can do that. And I do help people with that. I am passionate about helping people get to a good place and get to the goals that they want to get to. I would love to help all of you. I'd love to help anyone. It's empowering to teach people how to take care of their body and to be in a better place and not feel miserable all the time and to get the goals that they want to get and show them how to do it. It just takes commitment on their part and we can get you there. So if you need any help, want any help, you can do the survey, you can set up an appointment, you can join the membership. All those ways are ways that you can reach out and I can work with you. You can go to my website, utahfoundationalnutrition.com. I know it's not a short one, but a lot of good information. I try to highlight supplements. I try to show things that I buy. So it's a good resource. I have recipes on there, blogs on there. My YouTubes are attached to there. So I hope this is helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you, and you guys have a great day.